Oh. All righty, it's the top of the hour here. So I want to thank all of you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us this evening on Redox Nurse Talk. I'm Doria from near Atlanta, Georgia. I'm a registered nurse here, and I'm with my wonderful partner, Cindy Reed from Nashville, Tennessee, as she's a nurse there, a hospice nurse. And we're excited to have a guest on this evening, Danielle Matthews. You'll be hearing a little bit from her a little bit later as Cindy will be interviewing her. And I just want to let you know that anything that you hear this evening is not intended to treat, diagnose, or cure anything. And what we like to do, if this is your first time on our Zoom, we like to show a video of what this is. It's kind of like a little teaser. It doesn't go into all of our products, but it goes into why what this flagship product is and why you need to know about it. And this evening we have David Silberman. He sits on our medical board with the C of Redox. And he just actually, I think just debuted this video. It's called For Someone You Love. And it's just about 2 minutes. So we're going to show that to you. We also was going to try to show you the Genesis video, which I think I might just have Danielle maybe share a little bit about that because she's been with ASEA Redox probably for 12 plus years. And she can, share more about the culture of the company. So I'm going to let Cindy go ahead and show the video so we can see that. And then she's going to, let me just tell you this. So as Danielle is speaking and answering the questions here during the interview, if you would please put your questions in the chat. We will answer those at the end. Danielle is honoring the time here so that we can get those answered for you. So Cindy, you want to go ahead and show the video?
Thank you, Doria. Let me share my screen and we'll get started. Just a minute.
Hi, my name is Dr. David Silverman. I'm a retired board-certified foot surgeon, and I was introduced to this breakthrough 13 years ago. And the reason I looked at it seriously when my friend brought it to me was because of my father, not me. I was 50 at the time. I'm 63 now. But my dad was not well. And he had he was told he had an issue that no one wants to hear they have in any part of their body, ever. So I took the time to investigate it properly. And it sounded too good to be true, something that's made from salt and water. But I was motivated to learn about it, to see if it was real. That was 13 years ago. And thank God I did investigate it. Thank God I did. Your friend is bringing you this. And there are two things you can do. You can Google it and say there's enough here for me to investigate it properly, or you could Google it and say, no, it looks like salt water. I am at the corporate headquarters right now. These are the labs where they do the research on this. This has been out for now 15 years. Patents, intellectual property, trade secrets on producing it. It's produced in an FDA registered and audited production facility. This is a breakthrough that your friend is bringing you. And whatever your motivation is to look into it, maybe you don't sleep well, maybe your body hurts, maybe you have a breathing issue, maybe you have a skin issue, maybe you just want to look younger. This is the gel version of that. Whatever your reason is, take it seriously to investigate it for you. And if you say, hey, I'm healthy, I don't have any issues, I sleep great, my libido is great, everything's perfect, then please think about someone you love. Investigate it for someone you love, your mother, your father, your child, your pet. This is not a medicine. This is something that's in our cells make this, but we all made more when we were younger. And when you were younger, did you bounce back faster from injuries? Did you find as you got older, things started creeping up on you? Did you find your skin wrinkling? Take the time to investigate this, either for you or for someone you love. Please, your friend is giving you a gift.
Okay, that was a very short, and he updated this video, and I like it because it tells you, whoops, sorry, hang on, let me go back. Let's get him.
Was where you are right now. This
Here we go. All right. Sorry about that. We never have a day without a little technical blip. So anyway, it's a great video, and I love what David Silverman does and how he approaches the topic and how he just gives you a teaser, but talks about it and explains it to you, heart to heart. So we have an awesome guest tonight, Danielle Matthews, and I'm going to read a short little bio, and then we're going to let Danielle tell her remarkable story. Danielle lives in Florida, and I'll let her tell you the town. It's pretty ironic. And she's been using ASEA since 2014, and she credits the liquid Redox being the key to helping her body overcome an injury to her brain that she sustained in a car accident. She loves that ASEA focuses on the cellular health and helping the body to heal itself. Once she met the founder and the others that are aligned with ASEA, she knew she had found a unique opportunity to be a part of changing lives globally. And she's doing exactly that. And we talked a little bit before the Zoom, and she has gone even over to across the seas to do some of their conferences as a speaker. So she's definitely sharing it globally. So Danielle, I've seen your story several times and I love it. And it's such a remarkable story, and it just blows my mind sometimes. So I'm just going to kind of let you go with it. So just tell us how you came to know about this product, and then what got you to where you needed the product, and then how it went from there.
Absolutely. Well, I'm delighted to share. I never know who's learning about this, and I always just am so grateful that people would take the time to explore this, because you might honestly think of someone's name might pop into your mind as we're talking this evening, and I just always feel it's there for a reason. And like Dr. Silverman just said, and it's so funny that you chose that video because he's part of the reason that I found out about this. But write that name down because you're here for a reason. It might be for you, might be for someone you love, might be for somebody that you meet tomorrow. But, my story, I kind of have to take you back. I lost my health when I was in my 20s. Not typical, right? I think most of us are pretty vibrant in our 20s, but I was hit by a drunk driver, and just in a matter of seconds, my health went upside down. My life went upside down. And in that accident, I sustained an injury to my head that initially we thought I was okay. Like I looked fine. I looked like I look right now. But in the weeks and months that followed, it became very clear very quickly that I was not okay. I couldn't concentrate for an extended period of time. After about 10 minutes, I would just get completely overwhelmed. I couldn't handle light. I couldn't handle noise. I had just pounding in my head that was relentless. And I was dizzy all the time. I was just wanting to sleep. My personality had changed. I was not smiley and happy. I was very, very rude and blunt. If I had a thought, it was coming out of my mouth. There was no filter. And I attempted to go back to work. I was teaching at the time, 6th grade math, and I'd been on summer vacation. And when it became time to go back, I thought, you know what, I'll push through it. I can get back. It's okay. I'll just handle it until this resolves. And unfortunately, it didn't. I got into the classroom. I couldn't remember what I had just said. I couldn't remember the students' names. And I went on a medical leave that then turned into like a permanent termination because I didn't get better, and lost my job. And so I lost my income and had to basically move back with my parents and kind of get on this trajectory of trying to get my health back, which was a litany of doctor's visits, a litany of different things that you name it, I tried it. Western medicine, Eastern medicine, everything, holistic. And a year into that process, basically my neurologist said to me, look, Danielle, with your type of injury, the body's done the healing that it's going to do. And I'll never forget, he said, this is just going to be your new normal, and you need to shape your life around your symptoms, and you need to move on. And I am so grateful that something inside of me was just like, you're fired. No way. That's not going to be my future. I have no idea how many people have sat and listened to a doctor say that and sort of taken that as truth, but something inside of me just said, no, you're going to get better from this. Keep looking. And so we kept searching. And it's interesting because the answer came and I almost missed it. So an acupuncturist that knew my mom called my mom and said, listen, I've started using something new in my practice, and every single one of my clients, it's helping. And the way she kind of explained it, she said, it's helping each of them with their cells. It's helping them signal better. So repair is happening. And she said, every one of them is having results, but every one of them different results. And it's where they have their issue. And she said, I can't help but think this could pass the blood-brain barrier and help Danielle. And so my mom, maybe like some of you, just intuitively was like, yes, this is the thing we've been looking for. She bought it. She brought it home. She ran into me, the biologist. So I have a degree in biology. I'm typically, back then I was very skeptical. I was like, show me the research. Like, this sounds too good to be true. I've never heard of redox signaling, sounds like glorified salt water. And I blew it off because back then, this was circa 2014, so about 10 years ago, there was not as much research. And my mom had bought it, so she started drinking it herself. And I don't know about any of you. Do you guys know anybody with bone on bone? Like nods from people that have their cameras on. Yeah. So my mom had bone on bone in all of her knuckles, top knuckle, and all of her hands. And literally, she couldn't make a fist. She could do about that. And she was in a lot of discomfort. And they had just told her, like, there's nothing you can do. There's no cartilage left. Like, it's just pain management. But she didn't want to just take pain meds for the rest of her life. And so she started using this. She drank it. Back then, there was no topical gel. There was nothing. It was just the liquid. And 6 weeks later, she had full range of motion come back into her hands, which I watched happen. And I said, Mom, it's got to be a placebo. Like, there's no way that stuff did that. I just my brain couldn't understand how it could do that. And however, my dad was like, hang on, like, I know how much discomfort she was in, just like moving the sheets off of her in the morning to get out of bed would cause severe pain. And he was like, she can't imagine that away, so he started drinking it also. My dad was a football player in college. He had ended his career of playing football because he had an injury to his knee. He tore his ACL. Back then, they couldn't fix it. He's always had residual issues with his knees, but he always works out every day of his life. And he started drinking it. I kid you not, 10 days into it, I was walking the dog and he runs up to me and he's like, Danny, look. And I'm like, what am I looking at, Dad? Like, what's going on? And he says, I don't have my brace on. And he then kind of went on to tell me, look, I feel like I'm 30 years old again. He was in his mid-50s at the time. He said, I feel like I'm 30 years old again. I have so much energy in my workouts. I'm not getting tired. I feel like I could row, another 5K and I can keep running, but I'm not because, I feel like my body shouldn't be doing that, but I feel like I have the energy and I'm not sore after my workouts. And that sort of prompted him to go like, what's the research on this? And interestingly, the research that had been done on ASEA at that time was with athletes. So there was some research to kind of back up what he was feeling. And then my parents dove a little bit deeper into this and came back and basically said, look, Danielle, this stuff can't hurt you. It might help you. Why don't you give it a try? And I told them it would be a waste of their money, that I still didn't believe in this stuff. The scientist in me said, we'll have no new variables. We'll add the redox in, but I'm just going to show you that the stuff doesn't work. And month 1, nothing happened. Month 2, nothing happened. Month 3, the pounding in my head stopped. And I mean, it was just absolutely undeniable that I was feeling better. I had energy. I wasn't having to nap. I could focus again. I could get the words out that I wanted. And I'll never forget my cognitive therapist who I was seeing weekly. She said, Danielle, I've worked with people with your type of injury for 30 years. I've never seen someone have such a rapid recovery so far out from the initial trauma. She said, quote, what the hell is that stuff you started drinking? And I remember sitting in her office and I literally started laughing because I was like, I have no idea. I thought it was salt water. And she's like, Danielle, it's obviously not salt and water. Like, what is it? And interestingly, because I didn't have an answer for her, we were able to get her on the phone with Dr. David Silverman, the doctor that you just heard speaking. And I fortunately was like a fly on the wall in that conversation. I was just like on the phone as those two talked. And it was so fascinating to me because he was totally unfazed by my results. He was just like, oh yeah, of course it helped. How long did it take and how much did you drink? And I was like, what? Like, what does this doctor know that the rest don't know? And so I listened with very open ears. And it was like one of those, I have those moments in life when just things just click. And it was like, everything just clicked in. It was one of those light bulb moments. And from what he was saying, it became very clear to me that this had the potential to help every living thing. Animal life, plant life, human life. And I was blown away. I dove into the research. I went on like PubMed.gov type research. Like the biologist in me then was like lit up with, okay, what's the potential here? And yeah, that's the experience I had with the liquid. And when the gel came out, I also had an interesting experience with that. But that was my big wow moment. And that was, gosh, 10 years ago. And I haven't been a day that I haven't, been using the Redox. There was once when I was traveling and couldn't get it, but yeah, it's something that I will always take. It's not like my injury will come back. So just to mention, actually, I think it's worth mentioning. I did travel about 6 months after all this had started happening. I went to the Philippines, and at the time, you couldn't get product in the Philippines. Now you can, but you couldn't then. And so my mom shipped it there, but it like got lost and blah, blah. I ended up like about a month and a half without the product, and my issues didn't come back. And it was one of these just amazing things where I just went, wow, like I'm me again. Like I'm actually feeling better. I don't have to have this thing to mask symptoms or anything like that. Like this stuff actually got to the root cause, and I made the choice to continue with it because on my journey, I took a lot. I learned a lot about health. And to me, this just made the most sense because it was the most fundamental thing. It was our cells. And if the cells are healthy and they are strong, my thought process was, well, that means the tissues in my body will be, my organs will be, my systems will be, and let me never know what I'll prevent. Like I never want to lose my health again. And so for me, it's top priority, what I put into my mouth, what I drink, what I eat, like everything I think about because I've lost my health before. And so this is just like the number one no-brainer. I look at it like my health insurance, just to keep my body strong.
Danielle, I do have a question, and I am opening up the chat. I forgot to start that. So I know someone's going to ask this question. So how much are you drinking now?
So I drank 8 ounces a day for like ever. That was what I started on. That was what I had the results with. No one had ever said to really take more than that daily. I did actually drink a bottle in my first like 24 hours. They told me to flood my system with it. So I like went heavy when I started because the severity of what I had going on. And it was just 8 ounces a day. And as I stayed on it, I should also say, like I was still sensitive to noise and light for some time. Like it took a year for the light sensitivity to go away. It took a couple of years for the noise sensitivity to go away. But I had been told those things were permanent. Like there's nothing you can do type permanent. And I just continued on my 8 ounces. I just never stopped. And now, they made this announcement that the Redox is now more potent. So now I kind of like some days I'll do 6 ounces, but I'm just so habituated to 8. I often still will do 8 ounces a day. It just depends on what I'm doing. Like if I have extra exercise or more, if I'm traveling, I definitely make sure I do that. But yeah, 6 is kind of where I am now.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I was wondering what the max was that you ever took. So a bottle a day. I heard a lot of people say that when they really have tough challenges, they use that to jumpstart the system just to get results going, hopefully. So yeah. Doria mentioned this, and Doria, I don't know if I'm stealing your question or not, but I was just going to let you talk about, once you met the founders and the company, what were your thoughts? And you've had the opportunity to meet Vertus Norton, who was our founder, and Doria and I have not actually met him in person. So tell us a little bit about that experience.
Absolutely. So it was an interesting evolution, right? So I had these amazing results with the product, and I started to get my health back, which I hadn't allowed myself to dream of because I didn't want to get disappointed, right? Because I had been told this is permanent. Something in me knew, but I was also trying to like manage expectations. I was just living in the present moment each and every day. And as my health started to shift, I started to ask myself, okay, Danielle, it's like you got a second lease on life. Like, what are you going to do? What do you want to do? And the things that were bouncing around in my being was do something where you have purpose, do something that's going to fulfill your soul and make you feel good. Do something where you can support other people, help wake them up to the things that you've been woken up to. And also make sure that your finances are secure. Like one of the most shocking things for me was losing my income in my 20s. You don't have a plan B then. Like I was 2 years out of college. I was just starting to work. And I said, I never want to be caught like this again, where if I can't physically work, I can't earn money. My whole life, I mean, since I was 16, I worked. I bought my first car. Like it's just, that's what I did. And when I physically couldn't work and I couldn't earn money, it was devastating to me. So I said, I got to figure out something where I could get paid even if I couldn't work, which I'm a biologist, right? I was like, I don't know how that's going to happen, but like, that's the ideal situation, right? And I kid you not, my mom, bless her with all of this, she said, well, Danielle, you should share a SIA. And I looked at her, even after the results that I had, and I said, Mom, that is a sleazy thing to be involved with. That is network marketing. That is not something I'm going to touch. I have a degree from a top university. I mean, I was like nasty about the whole thing. And she goes like, Danielle, you have no idea what you're talking about. she said, why don't you just come to a conference, meet these sleazy people, and then make an actual decision based on like your actual experience. And I was like, okay, I'll come to one of these things with you, right? And then never ask me again. So I'm always honest with how nasty I was about the product and about the company. But so I landed in what was called at the time an Envision conference. It was an Ethos Academy, which was 8 hours of Tyler Norton, the co-founder of this company. So his dad, Vertus, and then the son, Tyler. It was Tyler speaking for 8 hours. And I kid you not, I was on the edge of my seat for 8 hours. I had goosebumps head to toe. I was listening to him talk about, he spent an hour on each part of their ethos, which I didn't even know what that word meant before I attended that event. But essentially, it was the soul of the company. And he said, you know, how many of you all believe that a corporation could have a soul? And everyone was like, yeah, okay. How many of you believe that most corporations don't have one, that they've kind of sold out? And everyone was like, yeah, pretty much, yes. And he said, you know, when I decided to join my dad, I told him, we will only do this if we bring soul into this. And we teach these core principles and help teach people to become the best version of themselves. And so he was talking about principles like putting people and purpose above your own ego and the economics of a situation, right? Choosing what is right to serve the people in front of you. And what hit home for me the most, I have it on my shelf here, was this book. It's a children's book. This was one of the core pieces of this company's ethos. And I was like, just blown away because this book asks, it's a little boy asking questions about like life, right? And 3 questions he's asking. When's the best time to do things? Who's the most important one? And what's the right thing to do? And I'm going to give you a spoiler, sorry, but basically the ending of the book, right, is when's the best time to do things? Now, in the present moment. Who's the most important one? The person in front of you. And what's the right thing to do? Whatever's best for them. And the reason this hit me so hard was because during my brain injury, when I was recovering, I literally couldn't think about my future. I couldn't think about my past without getting anxious or depressed. I forced myself into the present moment. I was 100% focused on the person in front of me and just doing something that would bring them joy. And that brought me joy. And when he said, and it was like everything had changed for me when I started doing that. And when he said that, I just went, yeah, that's the essence of life. I 100% learned that lesson. I can't believe this man knows this and is teaching it from stage and is telling people, this is how we're going to do business together. We're just going to serve the people in front of us. And then I thought, well, I wonder if this is all lip service or if the people involved are actually doing this. And so I made it a point to talk to as many people as I could in that room. And I had grown men telling me their stories and crying. I mean, tears coming into their eyes. And I was like, this is real. There's nothing sleazy about any of this. This is heartfelt. These are passionate people. These are people that are looking at the world differently. And then they started to talk about, like, it was not about, oh, you can make money and do this and that. But they started to talk about like legacy and how you could create something that if you share a SIA, you'll continue to get paid. And like something was a little ding in the back of my mind, like, wait, is this the thing that could actually passively pay me were something to happen again? And I started to ask people, can you really earn money at this? How much are you actually earning? Like, and they're like, yeah, we get paid in goosebumps, like number 1. And number 2, yeah, the income follows. Like it just does. You get paid to help people. And I thought there's nothing better than that. So that was when I first met Tyler. And then a little bit down the line, maybe 2 years later, I was at another conference and Vertus was there and they had a event in a hotel room. I do not remember the circumstances about how I was able to be in that room, but I was. And I just looked at him and I I mean, tears in my eyes, crying. I just said, thank you so much, because he made a choice. Like, he had the opportunity to sell this to a pharmaceutical company. And that pharma company, I do not think would have let it see the light of day. I'll just say that. And he made the choice. It was not the best economic choice for him, right? He would have made lots of money had he sold it. But it was a moral choice. He made the choice. He said, you know, when he realized this might not get out to the market, to the people, to humanity, he said no so that he could find a way that it could, a path that it could take to reach people. And he said he wanted that to be his legacy in life. And I just looked at him, tears in my eyes, and I just said, you know, that choice, it saved my life. And I don't know where I'd be if it weren't for you. And he just, with tears in his eyes, just looked at me, gave me a hug, and he said, help us get this to more people. And I'll never stop. I will never stop sharing with people, because I never know who's praying. I never know who's looking. Like I told you at the start of this, I have no idea if you're here for you tonight, or if this is meant to move through you to reach somebody else. But it's a powerful technology. It is additive to everyone's life. What it's going to bring you, we're just going to have to see how much do you need to take, how long of a period of time. You know, my own family, mom was 6 weeks, my dad was 10 days, I was 90 days. You know, like, it can take a varying amount of time to work, depends on what it's working on. But it's safe. And that is just, you know, you can't hurt anybody. It can't contraindicate with anything anybody's doing. It will amplify and augment other treatments and supplements and things that people are using. And so it's one of those things that's just a no-brainer. And quite frankly, we need more voices. Like, there needs to be more people talking about this. You know, I hear people say all the time, how come I haven't heard about this yet? And I'm like, well, because not enough voices have joined the choir. Like, it's not loud enough yet. We haven't hit the mass market yet. There's always a law of diffusion of innovation. You know, it takes time, any new technology, to hit the mass market, but it's getting there. And I'm just excited. I could talk all night, so I'll be quiet so you can ask me more questions.
You're doing great.
As the founder.
You're doing great, Danielle. So with this, obviously you have done well, and you've been speakers at some of our conventions, and you're an awesome speaker, very professional. And I'm sure you've grown, or this has helped you financially. Obviously, that's one of the reasons you looked at it as well. And so you've had a lot of success, we'll put it that way. Do you still get people that say no when you talk to them? And how do you handle that?
Sure. Yeah, I get people that tell me no all the time. And to speak to the financial piece, I'll say this, you know, my desire when I started was, I want to create an income that could come in, that if something were to happen to me, my expenses would be covered. I don't live some elaborate, exuberant lifestyle. I think possessions to me became worth nothing after my injury. I just realized how just sort of silly it is. And it's not as important to me, right? Material things. And so, you know, for me, that was an income of, like, if I could make $5,000 a month, I was like, we're going to be happy. Like, that is the goal. And that came true. I mean, I should know the date of this, but I don't actually know it. I think it was right before the pandemic. So it was maybe 4 or 5 years of doing the business. And I was doing a lot of other part-time jobs. And so I quit those other part-time jobs. I went full-time into ASEA, because I thought, well, I've been doing this part-time, like in a few hours a day around all this other work, because you can't make a ton of money at ASEA at the beginning. If anybody tells you that, they're full of it, right? This is meant to be something that you do over time. As time passes, you learn skills, you learn how to talk to people, you learn how to connect, you learn how to share. Like, as a skill set, you got to learn. And then the income follows in time. And I just, you know, my mindset was like, well, time's passing anyway, so I may as well do this, because if I can get it to work, then it will answer a lot of the, you know, desires I have. And I didn't earn anything in my first year, hardly at all. But I'll never forget. I just will never forget the first time I got a paycheck from ASEA. I think it was around $60. I should go back and look what it was. But I was blown away. I looked at that and I just went, holy cow. That's simply because I made a choice to go share this with somebody and help them with their health. They're happy with me right now. Like, they're thanking me, and I'm making money. Like, what? And I just went, well, if I could do that one time, like, I just got to keep multiplying that out. That's going to be amazing. And so that's what I did. And that first year, I didn't know what I was doing. No one was coaching me. I was a mess. I was sending emails that were like 10 pages long to people. And God bless them. Some of those people read it and they purchased the product, but I didn't know what I was doing. And over time, I figured it out. I invested in programs. I read books. Finally, people in my upline realized I was trying to do something and kind of like reached down and supported. And it's just been this amazing journey of becoming. I was the type of person, like, I didn't have a network to talk to. I had been in bed for 2 years. Okay. I had pretty much lost most of my friends because you really find out who the good people are in your life when you go through something challenging. And so I had a very small world. And my mom had already started telling all of those people, right? Because she was clued in way before I was, like a year before I was. So when I started to do this business, I didn't know anybody. And so I had to literally, I Googled networking, like, how do you meet people? And I had just moved to a new town. I moved out of my parents' house and I was, getting my independence again. And I just started going out into my local community. And I was the type of person that in a crowded room, I would be like pushed up against the wall, like, just please don't talk to me. Nervous, sweating. Like, if someone said something to me, I'd be like, ah. Like, I just how I was. I didn't know what to say to somebody or how to so I went to my first networking event. I kid you not. I sat in the car afterwards, shaking, wanting to vomit for like 10 minutes because it was so uncomfortable for me. But there was just something inside of me that said, you're meant to share this. Like, you've got to share this. Like, about a gift. It's in your lap. You have to pay it forward. And so I just got comfortable being uncomfortable. And I just said, there's something bigger than my own, brain freaking out. And I need to push past it. And so I learned to speak to people. I learned to handle rejection because, people were like, there's some pretty little girl trying to sell salt water. Like, that was what people said to me. They're just like, get out of here. Like, this is ridiculous. A local chamber of commerce told me I wasn't a real business. They told me, like, no, like, you cannot join. This is not a real business. And I was like, forget you. I'll find another one, and I drove 45 minutes north. I found somewhere else to share it. So it's not like my path has been easy by any means. It's just, I was so clear on what I wanted to create in my life. And now we fast forward. I'm living in the middle of nowhere. I was telling you guys, I live in a town called Salt Springs, which, as Cindy pointed out, is very fitting. And, I've figured out how to be able to live off of what's coming in through ASEA. And now I have people saying to me, like, you're so lucky with your life. And I'm like, there's no luck in this thing. Like, I had a dream, 9 years ago. It became clear to me what I wanted to create. I've been working at it every day since then. It's just like, now it's manifested physically. And, and now I have more dreams and desires. Like, okay, well, if I wanted to have a family, right? Like, how much money would need to come in and blah, 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 right? So, like, things change and shift and grow bigger. And I think this business will grow with you. And that's what's so cool about it. Like, there's no ceiling. It's whatever you want to create. And to answer the question you actually asked me, which was, do people tell me no? All the time. And I think it's interesting because I realized I'm just like grateful when they do, because I'm like, okay, well, first of all, do you know what you're saying yes or no to? Like, I am pleasantly persistent in making sure people have looked at actual information and actually know what they're saying yes or no to. And then if they tell me no, I'm like, great. Like, okay, well, do you know anybody that this could help or that's looking for something for their health? And then I just move on, because there are people that are looking for what we have, and for the health, and also to be involved with a community like this. I think the pandemic it shook so many people. There is so much isolation in this world. There's so many people just looking to be part of something. They're questioning, why am I involved in this sort of job and career that's not fulfilling me? What else is there? And I'm like waving my arms, right? Like, there's this, like, we have an incredible community of people. Probably the best thing, aside from my own personal becoming a person that speaks on stage in front of 1,000 people, like, what? That is because of my growth here in development and just pushing through fears. But the second best thing has been the network of people I've met. I mean, I'm looking at Tammy here on the call and others of you, Betsy, and there's people on the other side of the globe that I've gotten to meet because of ASEA. My network, my friends, like, I could travel now to many places across the world, and I happen to see a family member there, right? Like not someone that's necessarily in my business, in my downline, but they're just part of this community and it's real. I just went to Australia and it was like, I was visiting the family, people I'd never met before, but it's like, through Zoom, through just, we're all part of this, like you just have these common threads of, being dreamers in life, right? Wanting to make a difference, leave a legacy, support people. It's a fun thing to be involved with. And so I'm very grateful. And yeah, it doesn't get, I don't think this business gets easier because you get clearer about why you're doing it. You care less about people's responses. I used to get like devastated when people would think of, I had like an intervention from like family and best friends being like, Danielle, like you've lost your mind. What are you doing? You need to go get an actual job. You need to go get a master's degree. Like your brain injury, you're better from it. Like snap back to reality, like come back into life. And I was like, I'm not going back to that. You guys are miserable. You're working 9 to 5. You've got like no vacation days. Like, why in the world would I want to go that route? I found a better route. Like I got pulled out of that little vortex that most people are in, and I'm not going back. But yeah, it can be tricky with what people say around you.
Danielle, you were so inspiring to all of us because the fact that you were afraid to talk in public and standing against the wall in a crowded room, and here you are on stage, like you said, with 1,000 people that you're talking to, and I'm sure more at some times. That's just amazing. Yeah. And as one of our mentors says, we always see the glory, but we don't know the story. And you totally exemplified that. And I just wish the world could hear this tonight because the way you've explained this and the way you've talked about your journey and how real this is and how skeptical you were, but you can see your passion as well. So I want the world to see this, but that's all my questions. I'm going to turn it over to Doria. And again, if anyone has questions, put them in the chat and then we'll go through those when Doria's finished.
Okay, so I know you touched on this a little bit, Danielle, but why should people look at this?
Well, I think that we just simply don't know what we don't know. And I think if you are able to sort of put your own ego aside for a moment and go, okay, like what else is out there? Like there's so much. The more that I learn, the more I realize I don't know a dang thing. Right? And it has just humbled me beyond belief to I'm open to everything and everyone, right? Because we know the information that's been put into our brain from society and people and the books we've read and things we watch and whatever. And if this hasn't crossed your path yet, then you just don't know about it. So I always tell people, and especially when I have like a new team member that wants to share and they're like, what do I even say? I'm like, just tell people you have come across something that just sounds incredible and you think everyone deserves to know it exists. Tell them you don't care what they're going to do with the information, but you see potential here and it's something that they should be made aware of. And that is the heart with which I tell everybody to share, because the truth is we have no idea what's going on in people's lives. Like, when Debbie Wexler shared with Dr. David Silverman, she did not know that his dad was sick and that he was actually actively looking for something for his dad, but he wasn't publicizing that. And so he started to tune into what she was saying for him, right? She was just sharing. Debbie just said, I love you and I have something you need to know exists. Like, period. And I think that's it. Like, don't try to become a redox expert. Don't try and explain everything. Like, just share from your heart that there's something that you can't put words to, which is why you need them to watch a video or come to a webinar to get the actual information. And, it'll be much easier.
Yeah. All right. So let's say you and I are sitting down having coffee. We meet for the first time. How would you explain this to me? I know we use tools. It's better to do that, but like in a little snippet, what would you say this is? What are we talking about?
Well, I have pictures on my phone and I would encourage everybody to do this. I have just a photo album that has before and after pictures. And so I visually tell what it is, right? So I'm like, this stuff is incredible. It sends out a signal. It lets the body know, right, where issues are. And so I've got like some thermographic pictures of just heat in the body. And I show like, look what it does. The heat goes away, which is inflammation, right? Which is discomfort. And then I ask them, do you have any discomfort anywhere? And if they do, I will do a gel demo. The best way to explain this stuff is let somebody experience it. If they don't have discomfort, I will do one of the like reflex tests. Like you can just show this stuff working within minutes. I have I'll send it to you. I have a video that I put up on YouTube of me interviewing Jerry White and him explaining how to do these different tests and why they work. And that's what I do. And so anyway, so they get this little experience, right? And they're like, how did it do that? And you're like, well, it's just signaling. I just say, look, it just amplifies the call for help. It lets the body know where issues are. Look at this picture. That's what it did for that person. Look at this picture. That's what it did for that. Look at this picture. And I just show pictures. And I have some pictures of animals and skin stuff. I mean, it's different. Like, this isn't stuff that I would necessarily post on social media, but in a one-on-one, it's fine to talk about and show, because it's like, you know, even my own pictures of stuff it's done. Like I was just explaining before we, you know, everybody came on here that my boyfriend burned himself the other day in the kitchen, and I immediately was like, get over here. You know, I'm like putting it on, and I just said, keep it wet. And so we put the liquid in a spray bottle. I also have one of these misters, and I'm like, just keep the thing wet all night tonight. And so we did. Just the rest of, you know, we were up for a couple more hours, and the rest of that time we just kept it wet. And the next morning he was like, this thing looks like it should be like a week old. Like, I don't understand how it just did that. I'm like, yep, that's signal. So
Totally
that's what I do.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I do to keep it simple.
Yeah. So we have our flagship product, which is 2 delivery systems, you know, the blue bottle, which is a liquid that we drink, and you shared that, you know, how much you're drinking. And then we have the Renew 28 that you just showed, which is a topical. We only have 14 products in our that ASEA has. So we talked about the cell performance. Can you kind of share a little bit about the cell performance?
Yeah. So I've got them here. They're never far away. This is interesting. So this is like more recent. And what I love about ASEA is everything is focused on the cells. So everything they're doing, everything they're coming out with, everything they're designing is, how do we support your foundation the best? And so the cell performance is interesting when they came out with it, because they said, okay, we want to basically, they're like botanical blends. All right. And you just put them in water, very simple. They're like a quick fix, like within minutes, you're feeling the benefit. This one is called Redox Mood, well named, because it is going to help if you are anxious, if your mood is dipping, right? If you're feeling overwhelmed, if you don't sleep well. Like, a lot of people put this just in warm water, drink it before bed. It's great. They have this one called Mind, which this helps with focus, mental clarity. Like, it's just helping you be on point. And then Redox Energy is exactly what it sounds like. It's a natural form of caffeine. It has guarana in it, it has vitamin B in it, and it just gives you a nice boost without the crash. So it's a powerful product as well. And I'd say probably the most popular one is Radiance, at least what I have seen with people I've shared with, and it's a collagen support. So it's something that I just love ASEA. Okay, so it's like most collagens on the market are animal collagen. So you have to break down the collagen to then get the building blocks to build human collagen. And so ASEA kind of said, well, why would we waste the body's energy breaking that down? Why don't we just give the peptides? Why don't we give the building blocks that the body needs to make its own collagen? And so that's what's in here. So it's vegan, which is great. And it just gives your body what it needs to make its own collagen. And the results are awesome. I mean, it's pretty fun. There's a customer group on Facebook that I started several years ago. Everyone's welcome in it. But I love it because people share like their experiences in there. And you can ask questions in there. It's called Redox Customers. And Sandy shared an awesome picture that is one of the pictures that I have on my phone of her hairline, just like before she started Redox and after. And it was just like amazing to see.
Yeah. So we have other, I appreciate you sharing about it. I love the Mind. I drink the Mind in the Mood before I get on Zoom. It kind of keeps me on that even keel and focus. But, so if you're new on the Zoom tonight, you can go to Discover Redox. You can hear a little bit more about the other product line that we have. Also, I got triple R. RealRedoxResults.com is a testimonial site, and it goes more into depth about what this gift is. And Danielle is #1 on that site. So you can, and the password is Redox if you would like to go to that. So that's all the questions I have. Thank you, Danielle. This has been wonderful. And I think we have a few comments and questions in the chat. Do you see those, Cindy?
I do. I see them. So I saw Fritz's question, which, hey, Fritz. What's your favorite tool to send to somebody whose interest has been piqued? Honestly, like I love sending the pictures of experiences. And then probably most commonly, I'll send the realredoxresults.com that Doria just mentioned. Because I tell people, look, whatever you have going on, go click and go here. And, you know, it's videos. It's like you can actually hear the heart of the people speaking. And so that is a favorite to send people to if they're interested, and pictures. So those two things are great. And then I always have them talk to somebody besides myself. So that might be coming to like a webinar. I want their vision to go like, this isn't just Danielle saying this. You know, this isn't just Fritz telling you this. Like there's a lot of people talking about this. And so getting them onto a group webinar, or sometimes I'll do like, you know, a personal connect call with people. It just makes a big difference. So that's what I would say there. Let's see. Barbara, hey, good to see you. Do you host daily or weekly team trainings for your team? I have cycled. So I used to like do potlucks once a month at my house, and I would have people, because I really wanted community. Like there was nobody in Florida when I started, and I was like, well, let's build it. You know? So I would do a weekly event where guests could come, and then monthly I would do a potluck where we'd come together and just like do some training and just like camaraderie, right? And then, you know, the pandemic, I moved right before the pandemic happened. And then we all know what happened. And so no in-person things. So I went to doing things online. I used to do a call with my team. I called it AAA, Action Absorbs Anxiety, because there was a lot of anxiety with people during the pandemic. So it's like, get into action in your business. And we would come together and we would do that. And yeah, so it sort of has just ebbed and flowed with kind of like the needs of the team and just where my energy is. And so now I'm doing a lot of personal one-on-one coaching and mentoring, not as much team stuff, because now for whatever reason, the people that are active on my team are just in the worst time zones to work together. It's like, well, I got somebody in Spain, somebody in Australia, somebody in Indonesia, somebody in Mexico. And I'm like, okay, well, there's not really a convenient time for all of us to meet. So that it just has ebbed and flowed. But I think something consistent where people can plug in and feel that there's something bigger than them. I have seen that be a key piece to keeping people through the ups and the downs of what inevitably happens when you're sharing. How many more months did you continue to do therapy after your third month of changes you saw? So I had been doing a lot of different things. You know, before I started ASEA, it had been like a year and a half. And I had plateaued, like there was no shifts. I had added in, I finally caved and started a prescription medication, like 1 year after the accident, because it was hell. I mean, it was awful. Like I couldn't function. So I would take that, but I couldn't take it too often because the side effect of the migraine medication was more migraines, which like, whew, like talk about crazy. Just like, what a world. And anyway, so when I started the Redox and I started to feel better, I kept everything the same. I just kept doing everything. And then probably about 6 months into it, I was taking handfuls of supplements. I mean, I didn't change anything, right? Because the scientist in me was like, no variable can shift except adding Redox. And then after 6 months, I was like, I probably don't need most of the stuff that I'm currently doing because I'm feeling really good. And so I titrated off my medication. I took less of the supplements, and I just started to just stop doing the things that I had been doing. And I just kept the Redox. Like except for that blip when I was in the Philippines, I just haven't stopped. So hopefully that answers your question. If you want me to clarify on that, just put something back in the chat. Can you speak on the other ASEA products that you use and love? It's the best product, in my opinion, after the liquid, because you can tell it where to go, right? So like this is a fave. I also use their skincare line. I love the cleanser and the hydrating cream that they have, but just for whatever reason, they're my two favorites of that line. And then I really love Biome. They're pre-probiotic. I just like, that stuff's amazing. It's absolutely amazing for your gut. And there's a huge connection between your gut and your brain. And so that's probably why I sort of like lean that way. Their Omega product too is really, really good. That was the Omegas was something that I continued to take. And then when ASEA came out with theirs, it was like a no-brainer. because it's so good for your brain. So I like that. The other, like Life Max and Astia via Source, I take them. I have realized I'm not as consistent with them. Like I'll be like, oh, this should have been gone after a month, and it's not. So I just forget sometimes. But I think of them as like supplements, to supplement my diet sometimes. And yeah, but they have so many great products. And the best part has been I hardly pay for my products because like I just get so many rewards points. It's like amazing. It always seems to be that when I need like, oh, I need more biome. I have enough rewards points to get my biome. So I get my pre-probiotic for free. Like everybody, if you're new to this, their rewards program is phenomenal. And, you get free products every time that you get money points, every time you order. So it's great. Tammy, I agree with you. Every burn unit in the world should use Redox. I totally agree. Thank you, Ted. Where do we find the interview with Jerry White? So I have a YouTube channel. It's just my name. I think it's just Danielle Matthews channel. Something pretty easy to find. It's on there, Barbara. Unfortunately, I don't have it like to click to send to you, but it's on there. Or if you just search like Renew 28 reflex test, might be the name of what I called it, something like that. But you can search YouTube and you'll find it.
I think Fritz actually put it in the chat, if that's correct.
Oh, nice. That one might be the extended version. Jerry is chatty. God love him. So I took that video and I cut it down to I think 9 minutes because it was like a half hour. So there's a shorter version somewhere on my YouTube. But if you want the long version, that probably is the one. Thank you, Fritz. How do you encourage your team to learn, share, earn income by sharing? Betsy, it's I had to learn a hard lesson. I used to want this for people more than they wanted it themselves. And so I used to just pour into people my time, my energy, my effort. And it would just break my heart when they wouldn't see success or things weren't moving for them. And so I think I've just become really good at asking questions. And so Betsy, what I would just say is I would ask your team, why do you want to be involved with this? I have all of my team members do something called a WHOOP, which was something one of my mentors taught me. It stands for wish, outcome, obstacles, plan. The wish is asking them why 7 times. Why do you want to be involved with this? What are you looking to create in your life? Why do you want that? Why do you want that? Why do you want that? Why do you want 7 times to really get clear? Because people are going to give you this oh, I want to help people. That's okay, great. We all want to help people. Yes, we're all good people. What's going to get you, when the Chamber of Commerce tells you you're not a business, what's going to make you actually find another chamber to go to rather than curling up into a ball and saying, well, this isn't going to work. You know what I mean? What's your why? Mine was very clear. I want a life where if something happens to me again, income can come in, period. I just wanted that. And I saw no other route to have that happen except for Astia. So it was I was real clear, Betsy. And so now I try and help my team members get really clear. why are we doing this? And then depending on what they say, not everybody is as ambitious and crazy as myself. Some people are just I don't know, I want my product cost covered. It would be nice to make a little extra money, fun money. It's okay, great. So then I make a plan for each person. And I just say, great, so what's our strategy going to be? And the strategy is essentially, who are we talking to? And what are we inviting them to? And that's it. And then I just help them get really good at inviting people and really good then at following up. And that's it. So you can only show by example. So I say the best thing you can do is show that it's possible by doing it yourself. And I think that's the biggest inspiration that gets people moving. At least on my team, I've seen it make people come back. They're like, Danielle, you just never took your foot off the gas. Man, if I had kept going with you, I'd be there too. And I'm yeah, that's fine. Come now. The time is still passing by, so we can still start. But hopefully that helps, Betsy.
I have one other question, Danielle. So does our company, Astia, do anything about research?
Oh, of course. Yeah. So, back when I first looked at it, they didn't have too much. But they have continued. They put millions into research. They had a lot of safety data when I first started, which was fantastic to see. can't hurt you, can't cause inflammation in the system. Like, it's just fantastic. But they have continued. They even have a laboratory, like Redox laboratory, that they've set up to do in-house studies, but they also partner with people. Like, I have a picture of this. I didn't pull it up, so I can't show you, so never mind. But it's like a picture of all of the laboratories currently at present day that ASEA is partnered with all over the world doing research, which is fantastic. And some of these are like coming back to ASEA and saying, we can't believe the results we got. We went and did the study, we repeated it 9 more times because we couldn't believe that this product could do what it's doing, and it's real. And now we have other ideas of things you should research with it, given what we're finding. So people are now like reaching out to us and saying like, this is very unique what you have. We would like to continue to partner with you to do more research. And when I was in Australia, I learned that the government helped to fund some of the grant that went to doing the study that they did there, which I believe was on Renew 28, looking at how it impacted the NRF2 pathway, which is incredible. That pathway signals on the body to make glutathione, which is a master antioxidant, helps you detoxify, helps you deal with inflammation. It's amazing. So, yeah, it's just like, it's part of their culture. They will continue to do research. They're a biotech company, right? And they happen to be coming to market through word of mouth, so we can all get involved with it. But they're dedicated to that. That's something that they'll always be dedicated to. And we're like on a new frontier. We're finding out more and more. The company thought this was just for the skin. That's what they did their research on. Wrinkles, cellulite, sun damage. And then we got it and we said, hey, guess what? This goes deeper. This is helping with discomfort. You do this 3 times in 5 minutes and it helps. And so then the company went, what? Like, they didn't know, you know? So it's like, we're learning, we're at the forefront of something. And so there's still like, it's like we're at the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, it's incredible. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
We appreciate this, Danielle. This has been awesome. We will upload this to our YouTube channel, and you can go and search it at Redox Nurse Talk and watch this one along with any of the others in the past. But this has been a remarkable testimony. And like I said, I just wish the world could stop and listen to this now. I mean, take 30 minutes, put it on in your car while you're driving, and just learn about this. So I may encourage people to do that. But we just appreciate everyone coming. Get back to the person that introduced you to this and get your questions answered, and join us in this marvelous journey and become a Danielle. And something else we've talked about, the growth that Danielle has had. We are a research and development company, and the development part goes both ways. It's a development in the products as well as the people. So we've all grown along this journey as well, no matter how long you've been in it. We're different people. So, Doria, do you want to introduce our guests for next week?
Oh, yes. So we have Gloria Liebecker and Marion Palmer that'll be on next Tuesday. And all you have to do is go to, the link is redoxnursetalk.com. That's how you find us. We're here every Tuesday at 8 p.m.
Awesome.